Okay, I decided to make a video like my missing teeth. Thanks, pastors. Thanks, Christians. I'll tell you later why my teeth are missing because Christians. Yeah. So, anyways, here I am, April 29th, April 30th, 2015, the last day of my life. I didn't know it was the last day of my life, thanks to Pastor Mark Ragsdale and Brandon Reed. So, my wife and I were laying in the bed, hugging and kissing. All of a sudden, she starts screaming, I'm calling 911. I hold her down, begging her, baby, please don't call 911. The cops get there. They say, Mr. Butler, there were no crimes committed here. There was no reason for your wife to call. And I said, thank God she told you the same story as me. They said, oh, your stories match exactly. You were laying in the bed, hugging and kissing. You were not arguing or fighting. There was no fighting. There was no drugs or alcohol. There was no crimes. There was no crimes committed. When she screamed, I'm calling 911, you should have got off the bed and said, call. We wouldn't have done anything. But Mr. Butler, you committed 2 crimes that you confessed to. And I said, what are you talking about? They said, when you held her down, the second you touched her and she didn't want to be touched, you committed domestic violence battery. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It doesn't have to be bruises or a hit or strike. Used to be, not anymore. He puts his hand on my arm. He said, that's battery. The second you touched her, you committed domestic violence battery. But it gets worse. When you begged her over and over, baby, please don't call 911, that's called tampering with a witness, which is a felony. So here I am arrested for domestic violence battery when there was no battery, there was no violence, there was no fighting, there was no drugs, no alcohol, no arguing, nothing that's in a domestic violence case, and a felony. Because I said, baby, please don't call 911. Calm down, honey. Calm down. So I go to Pastor Mark Ragsdale, Brandon Reed the next day, or a few days later after I get out of jail. And I walk in with so much joy in my step. They're like, why are you so joyful? And I said, well, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I think God wants me to be strong right now. Well, Jim, you committed domestic violence battery. There's a felony. And I said, guys, I should have said, guys, put your gavels down for a second and hear the facts. See, Christians don't want to hear 2 sides. Whatever they think in their mind, most Christians, not all, but they think in their mind, that's it. They judge you. They condemn you. So anyway, so I said, guys, nothing happened. So I told them the whole story. And when I got done talking, I was expecting them to jump out of their chairs and go, thank God, Jim. Wow. You didn't touch her. There's no crime. Wow. We're going to get that GPS ankle bracelet off you. We're going to get you and your wife together. Your family is going to be fine. Don't worry, Jim. That's not what happened. Mark Ragsdale yelled at me, we voted you out of the church, like that. Anger, vicious. Why? Because of the Bill Sick thing a few weeks or a month earlier, whatever. I mean, Bill Sick lying out through his teeth. Watch the Bill Sick video. When he yelled, we voted you out of the church, I left this office shaking. I could not believe my own pastors betrayed me. And I told Charlie Colson, airline pilot, Aaron Gallagher, business owner, what happened. They went to Mark the next day, one at a time, and they said, Mark, we're leaving your church. We can't follow you anymore. For you to betray your friend, your good friend of many years, for you to betray him in his deepest, darkest hour, we can't follow you anymore. We're leaving your church. Me and my family are leaving your church. They both said that to him, separate, and went there separately. And Mark Ragsdale began the CAV Watergate cover-up. Oh, I never yelled at Jim. I said, Jim, it's good that you don't come to our church anymore. The GPS and insurance and lie. He made up 1,000-word lie. 1,000-word lie. And he's still lying to this day. Cocksucker. By the way, what do you call a born-again Christian? And no, I'm not going to do that. So anyways, pastors and Christians are judging me because my name is Jimmy fucking Powers, and I say cocksucker and dickhead, and I have a company called My Balls and the Pussy Pouch Ouch, 2 metal balls that I tell pastors, hey pastors, these are metal balls, they're not testicles, okay? My balls are called my balls because they're metal balls, and they come in a little pouch called the pussy pouch. Ouch. And there's a story behind everything. So anyway, my own pastors encourage my wife to press criminal charges when there are no crimes, and then brought my wife and son to a battered women's shelter, knowing all the facts. Maria's got mental things, and Mark told me years ago, he says, Jim, you need to get your wife checked by psychiatrists and psychologists, and I mean, she's not doing well, and they know that they know about her schizophrenia, hearing voices, I'm going to make her a slave cooker and cleaner, and how that destroyed a year of our lives. They know these things, and they know me, solid as a rock, for 15 years, never a lie, never an exaggeration, never anything. And they brought my wife and son to a battered women's shelter, falsifying all data. Soon there's going to be an investigation. Soon, if I got a subpoena, Patty Late, my mom, Maria, Mark, Brandon, the battered women's shelter staff, whatever we got to do, we're going to get an investigation, find out what happened. It was a crime. Some people say it was a felony. When you falsify data to get into a battered women's shelter, seeing that my little boy was sexually abused, allegedly sodomized by the other boys in there, my brain fried. I'm begging all my Christian friends, do something. My son is in danger. Those little boys are dangerous. They've witnessed the most horrific things. You don't want your children around children like that. Well, I don't think it's that bad of a place, you know. Would you want your children there? See, Christians, most Christians, again, they don't obey the golden rule, do unto others as you weren't done unto you. They just don't. I mean, ask the world. The world says Christians are the most judging hypocrites. They tip the least and the most rude. Ask people in the world, what do you think about born-again Christians? Hear for yourself. I did. I hear it every day. Oh, Jimmy, you're the first Christian. I love your church, man. You're the first Christian. You don't judge anyone. I mean, Jimmy, I feel the love of God flowing through you into me. Jimmy, you never look below my wife's chin. You don't look at women. I've never met a Christian like you. I hear that all the time. Why? Because of my book. And everything that happened with Mark Ragsdale had to happen for my book. Fantastic. When you get the whole story, when you really get it, it's fantastic. That's how I used to look. How you doing? Hi, my name's Jimmy. Yeah, and now I was like, hi, you got a beer? So anyways, if you're wondering why I'm missing these teeth, because I was punched in the mouth and robbed. So I'm the beaten and robbed man in the book. I'm writing a book about the Good Samaritan and the beaten and robbed man, and how the religious leaders walked by and the Good Samaritan stopped and said, I'm going to love him as myself. So now I'm beaten and robbed. I was beaten and robbed on the side of the road, left for dead. So isn't that fantastic? So anyways, part one of the Mark Ragsdale, Brandon Reeb cover-up, CAV, bullshit, and all the truth is coming, my book this week, and every church is going to judge me. I know what they're going to do. That's what they do. They fucking judge. That's what Christians do. They fucking judge. Hey, you ever hear about a born-again Christian that loves one another and has compassion and opens up his home to strangers and homeless people? They don't exist, do they? They do. I have always opened my home to homeless people, strangers. Why? Because the Bible tells me to. And God led me to open my home to 100 strangers and homeless people and widows and airline pilots and a missionary family of 6, an engineer with 3 kids. The list goes on and on. Why did God lead me to do that over 25 years? Because he knew I was going to be writing a book asking pastors, why don't you preach this? Open your home to homeless people. Love them as yourself. The Good Samaritan loved a homeless man as himself, picked him up, fixed his wounds, gave him food, clothing, shelter, brought him to an inn, spent the night. The next day, paid for several nights. You'll never find a Christian does that. I mean, I hear it's like 1 in a million they do it. 1 in 814,000. I don't know. It should be 99 out of 100. Should be 90 out of 100, not 1 in a million. So anyways, God called me to tell him. All right, 10 minutes.